welcome to Thomas's Comparison Driving Lounge. Starting here with the Volvo XC40 with the smaller one, and it will be really interesting to find out all about the differences. It feels really light and compact, just as the size is. Steering here is quite direct, but it doesn't give you the best feeling, meaning you don't have a natural feeling for the car. It feels a little bit artificial. Seating comfort is really good, and as I said earlier, in the interior part it already feels somewhat grown up, so you don't miss a bigger SUV, at least when you're driving the smaller one here. And it overall gives you a very relaxed, calm and just a good feeling here. So the roundabout package of the driving feeling is really very nice. You know, you have a decent size on the interior, not too big, not too long on the exterior, and that's why it's also relatively easy to steer it around in the city. You get the most parking spots and so on. This can also be a big advantage if you compare it to the XC60, that you can just easier park it in and out, easier ease it in the parking lot. So that's what I really like about the XC40 right here. All right, now let's go to the motorway. Yeah, almost a little bit faster. Good side handling, feels really nice. You have a lot of driving fun indeed in the XC40. The suspension is quite firm, I have to say, but not too bad. So bumps are also even out quite well. I think they found a nice setup here for the suspension. Remember, no air suspension is available here, but in this segment it's absolutely fine if they don't offer that, and you also don't really need it. Although we have quite big wheels mounted here, the 19-inch wheels, it's not too uncomfortable from bumps in the road and so on. And here also higher speeds, more than 100 kilometers an hour or more than 60 miles an hour, reasonably insulated here, so you really get a premium SUV feeling. Here once again, a little bit sportier in that next right corner. It's always cool when we switch motorways from one to another, then you can really test the agility. Seats also keep you quite tight, especially if you have a fabric-based seat. In this case here we have the plug-in hybrid drivetrain, but drivetrain comparison won't play the biggest effect here in this comparison. It will just play a big role if you have the all-electric version, which is offered in the XC40 and in the C40. There's also a separate video on that actually, but both in the city, countryside and on the motorway, the XC40 feels very well balanced, and it can actually master every discipline, no problem. The big question is now, what about the XC60? Is it really better for the extra price you pay? Is it more or less fun to drive? Well, and now to the XC60. Told you in the interior part, the basic seating position is not too different. Maybe the seat is a little bit larger, but then again, the cushion is a little bit firmer, so I wouldn't really say that this delivers more comfort or so. And at first glance, we also had equal space set up in the rear and so on. Yeah, a little bit bigger trunk and so on. So it's really up to the driving part now if there is a significant difference and if the extra price is really justified. Of course, you can also go with the XC60 with a normal suspension. Then the suspension setup won't be that different. Here, however, the optional air suspension. And that, of course, delivers more driving comfort. However, we do have 20-inch wheels mounted on here. And that also leads to that these fine changes in the road are more transported to your body and you feel them. And the basic setup here, when it goes from left, right, is then rather a little bit softer. That's the basic difference. And the XC60 is not for racing. Clearly not. None of the Volvos are. It's more for enjoying and driving a little bit calmer, not feeling the urge to accelerate it all out and so on. And the engines are also not laid out on that anyway. It's also good noise insulation. It feels really calm on the inside, and also, because it's a little bit longer, it sits a little bit more settled on the road. So from the chassis and suspension wise, it feels a little bit more grown up and a little bit more sophisticated. It's also how it's supposed to be. Also the hood there is a little bit longer and so on. But the thing is really that my basic impression from sitting in the cockpit is basically confirmed, because it's not the biggest difference. So inside this Volvo model portfolio, the difference between XC40 and XC60, also driving-wise, is not as large as you would expect it. I'll soon also hop onto the same motorway part and move it a little bit more, in an agile way to see more comparison about that. But yeah, so I think seating position-wise, maybe I think I'm even a little bit happier with the XC40. So just feels a little bit more sophisticated, but as I said, the difference not too large. How is it now when I drive it, for example, from a traffic light, from 0 around the corner, 90-degree bend here now, and also on the motorway? Here we go. Around the corner. Yeah, there the XC40 just feels a little bit lighter, and also, when I'm going some right, left here, legs a little bit behind. So the XC40 gives you a more direct connection when you have the steering input and so on. The basic steering setup feels kind of similar because it is direct for the steering input. Then again, doesn't feel that natural. You don't get the best feeling for the car. But what I meant is when you do a steering command and then how the suspension or the chassis, changes right, left, and how you feel all together. With the XC40, you feel more one with the vehicle, and here you feel more, okay, the vehicle is driving for you, more or less. That's how I would describe the difference. Now we get to the German Autobahn, see how it is in that faster corner. Here now in the corner, still fun to drive. It pushes me and leans a little bit more outward than the XC40, definitely, but still feels good. And here now at a little higher speeds, so some motorway speeds, also decently silent. Is it more silent than the XC40? Probably the same, right, Michelle? Yeah, Michelle also agrees. So wouldn't say that there's much. Maybe if one is calmer, I think this one maybe. I'm not sure. So doesn't feel like the biggest difference, at least, because the XC40 also has dual insulation glass and so on. So everything fine also in that respect. Both deliver you a very interesting and very good ride. The XC60 then maybe, to give you a little bit more calmness. The XC40 for a little bit more directness and driving fun. As I said, in the newer generations, newer versions, newer model years, and also already the XC40 EV and the pure petrol and so on, they all now get the Android Automotive system here right and also left in the instruments, depending on when exactly you are buying, and also maybe if you're buying used or so. So even in driving, not the biggest of a difference. That's very interesting. So it might be a very close call. Or will it be? Let's check out our final conclusion. Well, what do we do now? Which one would I actually take home? And also considering the price difference. So if you start with the base version, it's more like 35, 44 or something in euros, 1,000 euros of course. So just like an 8,000 euros price difference. But then the higher you spec them and the higher go also in the engines and so on, the price difference is rising. And here with the higher trim levels and so on, and also as plug-in hybrid, we are at the concise prices of 64,000 euros and 88,000 euros. So spec'd, the price difference then triples. And when you then think about this massive price difference of 24,000 euros, then just as for the price performance, it's clearly the XC40. As for the exterior, well, in the front I like the XC40 better, the XC60 inside and the rear, but wouldn't be the biggest difference to me. Interior-wise, also quite similar from the styling. Surprising thing is that the XC40 doesn't have less space on the interior or something. It's just more that the trunk space is a little bit limited. The XC60 has a longer and wider trunk. That would be the main, let's say, hard fact difference. And that optionally you can also get an air suspension. Driving-wise, also the difference is not as large as you might expect. The XC60 may be a little bit more, a little bit more sophisticated in the driving, but I found the seating position, the ergonomics with the seats even a little bit better with the XC40. Well, and then when you consider the price difference and also that you get along a little bit better in the city, to me today, the clear winner is the Volvo XC40. It's also available as a pure electric version already now, also as the C40, as this coupe shape. We also have separate video on that. You should check out this one, or of course also more Volvo content we have for you.